the amount of comments I get on videos of people saying, Amit, I couldn't do what you're doing, but the fact that you've done it has given me hope that I can at least do something in my life. That's currency for me. That's what's motivating me to keep going.
Welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast. Before we get started on this episode, I would like to invite you to our community so that you can hear more stories to inspire change within your life and positive change within the systems in which we live. All I want you to do is to click on the subscribe button. Your comments mean the world to us with anything that's resonated with you, and I absolutely love your support. I can't wait to go on this journey alongside you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's get into today's episode. Today we go into a deep dive with Amit Ghose.
I'm Amit Ghose and this is my Tale to Inspire.
Amit, you're official. Welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, so excited to jump into this. And I guess for our people who are watching or listening at home, introduce yourself. Who are you and where are you from?
First of all, Krish, I'm so honoured to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It means so much to be recording this podcast today. Thank you. Who am I? My name's Amit Ghose and I was born with a rare genetic condition called Neurofibromatosis type 1. It's a condition many people cannot even pronounce, let alone understand it. So it's more commonly known as NF1. It causes tumours to grow on nerves. They can grow anywhere in the body. Many people have it growing on their arms, their legs. For me, it was on my face. So it made it very, very visible. Like I said, growing up, faced various different challenges, trying to adapt, trying to fit in, trying to be accepted by others. Got married, my wife kept saying, why don't you share your story? Why don't you talk on social media and talk about your journey? And she asked me to create like a TikTok video or something. And for me, TikTok was all about singing and dancing. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. But as wives keep nagging you, she kept nagging me. And I was like, you know what, I'll do it. So I did it. I created a TikTok video and I said to the world, my name's Amit Ghose. I'm born with this condition. And I said, I want to go on a journey to help support and inspire people be the best version of themselves by sharing my real life lived experiences, things I've faced in my life and how I've dealt with them. That one video within 24 hours got over like 100,000 views. At one point, my TikTok was getting like 1,000 followers a day. A lot of different YouTube content creators got in touch with me saying they want to make short videos on me, short documentaries with me. Schools started to contact me. And before I knew it, my sales career suddenly went into this career about disability advocacy, representation of people with visible differences. And now the complete trajectory of my life has changed, Krish. I've gone from someone who wanted to work in sales and marketing to someone who wants to be this disability advocate, speaker, content creator who wants to go out and change the world and help support and inspire people. So that's where I am now. It's a lot to unpack, I know. For me, it's a lot to unpack still. If you asked me 2 years ago, Amit, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? I would have said something very different to what I'm saying now.
Was there a trigger point towards the change of sales and marketing, that's going to be me and what I'm going to do, and however you look then to actually, you want to be an advocate now?
I think the trigger point wasn't actually creating that video or the virality. The trigger point was when this girl from South Africa messaged me after watching my videos, and she had the same condition as me, but her tumors were growing on her thighs. And she said, Amit, I love your videos, and I want to say I really like swimming, but I can't go swimming because I'm scared that my friends will see my tumors and not want to hang out with me. And we spoke for a bit and I said to her, let's put the neurofibromatosis on a side for one moment. Let's say you don't even have it. You've got your friends, you have an unfortunate accident and you've got some scars, you've got some bruises, you've lost a leg, whatever. Something's happened which is unfortunate. Would those friends that you've got right now be supportive of you or would they just leave you? And she said thank you and went off and I thought that was it. She came back after 2 weeks and she said, let me show you a post on my Facebook. And she sent me this picture of her in a swimming suit going swimming and saying, I'm visibly different and I'm proud. And I use that tagline now on my website and all my marketing and everything I do. So I'm visibly different and proud. And that for me was the moment that, I impacted that one person's life. And I thought, if I can impact one person's life so positively, if I keep going, what else can I do? Who else can I impact? Who else can I motivate? Who else can I inspire? And for me, that was the trigger point to say, this is what I want to categorically do for the rest of my life.
Isn't it amazing how one circumstance can happen in your life?
Yeah.
And it just puts you on a completely new trajectory to something that you may never have known that you were going to go on to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's so incredible. So let's start at the beginning, mate. Childhood.
Yeah.
Dreams. Did you want to be anything? You've talked about cricket
Yes.
and like in sports. Like, what was it like being a child? What's your family background like? And yeah, let's go into that.
So school. Let's talk about school a little bit. School was very lonely to start with. I remember primary school being a bit of a dull place for me to start with, because at that age you don't quite know what depression and anxiety is. But looking back now, I know I was going through those emotions because I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to hang out with the other children. But one of the things that changed was the fact that I embraced cricket. I used to love playing cricket, and I used to play cricket by myself because I was so scared to go and play with other kids. So I'd come home and I'd bowl to the wall, and I'd throw the ball to the wall and bat. And one day I just mustered up this courage to go and ask some boys that are playing cricket if I can play with them. And first they were like laughing at me, mocking me, saying no. Reluctantly they handed me the ball, and when they did, I bowled really well. And the PE teacher was watching, and he said, "Why don't you join our school cricket club?" Which I did. And then he was like, "Well, let's go and play some matches with some other schools," and we did. And suddenly I became one of the highest wicket takers for that school up until that point. And the reason I'm telling you this is at that point I went from Amit, the guy with the funny face, to Amit, the guy who plays cricket. Suddenly that gave my personality, my hobby gave me my identity. And I talk a lot about that with people who struggle with insecurity and confidence, saying, embrace your personality. What is it that you like doing? Is it cooking? Is it cleaning? Art, drawing, music, whatever it is, own it, embrace it, make it a part of you. And I did that unknowingly at that time as a child. That changed things for me. Family life was amazing. I mean, I am what I am today because of my father. My father treated me as if I didn't even have this condition. Had he treated me differently or sugarcoated me and looked after me and put me in this cotton wool because I have this invisible disability, I think I would have been a very different human being to who I am today. The fact that he just let me be, the fact that he scolded me just like he scolded his other siblings, made me who I am today. So family life was really good in the early days.
Right, okay. Wow. And do you have any siblings?
I've got two sisters and a brother.
Right, okay, so cool. And how do they see you? How do you treat them? Are you the oldest?
I'm the youngest.
So you get looked after.
Yeah, I get looked after. But my brother was brutal to me. Like, he used to give me beatings, like proper Asian beatings. Like, I remember he's a man into his music, and he had these really, really expensive speakers in the house. And I prodded one of the tweeters, and as soon as he heard the music, he could tell, and he opened it and he saw it and he called me over because he knew it would only be me. I mean, who else would just poke the speakers? And I got like so beaten up that day, like proper Asian beatings.
Man, wow, okay.
But that helped me. I mean, had he treated me and sugarcoated me because I've got the disability, then I think I would have been a very different person.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting to get the aspect of what is family life like. Because I think sometimes the hardest thing, and we speak to so many people with different disabilities, is how do the family members support those people going through that struggle or through that life? I mean, it's just life, you know, and that's just the way. So the fact that your brother was like, I'm just going to do what I do anyway. Like, fair play, amazing.
Exactly.
Although I'm not promoting beating up your siblings on terms, but if it does come across like Amit said it, not me. But so going up through there, so you've got cricket, you've got your hobbies, you've got your family. Where does your journey go from that childhood?
From that childhood, my father, even though he was treated me the way he did and he looked after me and he tried to make things normal as possible, in the back of his head, he always worried about me. And I could tell that through the way he tried to push me in my education, get a degree, go and do what, get a good job or everything like that. So, I went off to college, went off to university. He passed away just a month before I went to university. So he heard that I'm going to university, but he couldn't see me at uni. Graduated, got into sales, worked, bought the house, did all the things that everyone wants you to do. was comfortable, and then the whole wedding thing started coming up. Is he going to get married? Is someone going to find him? Is someone going to see him for who he is? Or, and I had people telling me all these comments that,
that you just, that
I said.
Just on that fact though, then your rock, your dad, has gone.
Yeah.
Like, that must have been so difficult for you personally.
Yeah.
That one person who's always backed you.
Yeah, losing my dad was really, really difficult at that point, because there hadn't been a single hospital appointment that I'd gone to by myself. Not a single one. He'd gone to every single appointment with me. I've still got files at home of every single appointment letter, not just reports or anything, just the letter that comes with the appointment in a file. Yeah, hundreds. And he's got them all in a file, all neatly stacked, dated, like there's years in them, the different years are in different folders. So he used to really, really look after me that way. And this condition isn't only on my face, that the tumours actually grow internally as well. And I've got them growing near my spine, which curves my spine. So I've got a condition called scoliosis as a part of this. And that was very, very deadly. That was really, really severe. And I had to have a really major operation to put metal plates there to stop the curving. And to go and have that surgery without him, or without his support, was really, really tough.
Man, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how that must have been so difficult. And I think having a support network is really important.
It is.
And when that goes, or if that is where's we talk about resilience. A lot of people talk about resilience and all these things, but actually it's how can you get through it?
Yeah, how can you find that strength to get through it? And it's sometimes really, really tough, and it was tough. And I didn't know about all this resilience and motivation and everything I talk about now. At that time, I was just doing what I felt was right, and I just knew I had to get through it somehow. I just knew I had to keep fighting. I knew I had to take one day at a time, and that's what I tried to do, just take one day at a time.
Wow. And I think that's a really good thing, one day at a time. And I really get frustrated now, and you'll start getting this as well. Now you're going into this entrepreneurial life, is people ask you for your 3 to 5 year plan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll just be happy to be alive in 5 years, if I'm going to be absolutely honest. I just have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's one day at a time. It's a great thing to remember. One day at a time. Sometimes you have to break it down even lower than that. If you're having a tough time, like, let's get through half a day. Let's get to lunchtime. Let's get to dinner.
Absolutely. Someone, one of my mentors I was talking to when I was having a tough time just before getting married, and she said a really interesting thing to me, which sticks with me. Whatever problem you're having right now, how big of a problem will that be in 5 hours' time? Okay, it will still be there. Okay, how big of a problem will it be in 5 days' time? Okay, how big of a problem will it be in 5 months' time? 5 years' time? If that problem or that pain or that burden is reducing as the time is increasing, you've got nothing to worry about. You just need to go one day at a time and just fight it through. One of the worst things we do as individuals is try and fight that feeling when we're feeling depressed. And I've only recently learned this through my lived experiences. We're feeling down, we want to get okay, we want to I want to feel better about myself. I don't like this, how can I get better? Just let it be, just breathe. Go back to your personality, go back to things you enjoy. I like cricket, I like going for a walk, I like music, I like playing music, I like playing percussion instruments. I'm not feeling very good about myself, I'm going to go and listen to music for half an hour. I'm going to go for a walk for half an hour. I'm not going to think about this problem for the next half an hour at all. I'm just going to tell my brain to shut up. Every time it comes up, shut up. Go for a walk.
That's such good advice.
That's worked for me really well, and that's not something I've read in a motivational book or seen some guru say that. That's just my real life lived experience, what I practice.
How do you, just out of curiosity, how do you come across mentors? How important are mentors to you, and how do you pick a mentor for you?
I had no idea 18 months ago about picking a mentor or having a mentor, but now speaking to people, I think it's beautiful. A mentor is amazing, and I've had so many wonderful people in this short journey that I've been on already in this 18 months helping me on my journey, because they see the vision and the value that I'm trying to add, and they're trying to sort of take me along and help me. Like, my website was built by a gentleman who built it free of charge for me, and he helped me and he said, it's for you, just keep doing what you're doing. And he still gives me advice I just phone him whenever I need to, and I'm like, I'm struggling with this thing, what should I do? And he'll break it down for me and he'll help me out. So mentors are really important to give you clarity sometimes, because sometimes you've got so many things going on in your head. Like I've got so many things in my head right now about what I want to do in the next 12 months, 24 months, 3 years. Sometimes you just break it down and be like, okay, let's focus on this avenue now, and then this, and then this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've struggled recently of actually my brain just doesn't stop. Yeah. I just can't stop having ideas, and it's like, stop having ideas and just like focus on some of them, and focus on an avenue is a really good way to do it. I love that. So let's go back to the marriage.
Yes.
Okay. So Amit, you're being told you need to get married, and it's time for you to get married, and then some other people are saying, oh, you can't get married, and oh no, it's not for him, or whatever. They're trying to comfort you.
Yeah.
What happens?
For me, I was in self-doubt for a long time as well. I mean, I've been on dating apps, I've had relationships, but when I've been on dating apps, I've always wrote, don't judge a book by its cover, as my bio, but people always did. People always said, Amit, you're a great friend, you're a great guy, but we don't see anything beyond that. We don't see any physical intimacy, we don't see any sort of relationship. You're just a really good friend, you're a great listener, we could talk to you all day, but you're not boyfriend material. And at one point I just thought, maybe I'm not, maybe I just carry on being who I am. And then I was in India. I love India. I go to India every year. I go back to my hometown and I spend a lot of time there. So northeast India, just on the border of Bangladesh.
Okay.
So go back there very, very often. I was speaking to a friend of mine there, and I was telling him that, it's hard, man. It's hard finding a partner. And bearing in mind, all my other siblings got married in India from back home, from our hometown. So I'm telling him this, and he's like, you know what? You'll find someone, don't worry. And I was like, we'll see. So I came back to England, and he messaged me one day saying that, I think there's someone here who I'd like to introduce you to, if you're willing to. And I was like, well, if you think she's nice, then yeah, sure, introduce me. He's like, okay, I'll go and talk to her. So he went off, talk to her and told her about me. And then she said no first. She was like, no, not because of my condition. She was like, she's a makeup artist by profession. She's like, I'm booked for the next 6 months. I have not got time for all this. I'm not even thinking about getting married. No, and hell no am I going out of this country to England. That's not happening. My parents will never agree to me moving so far away. No. And he was like, let me just give him your number anyway. And she's like, no, don't give him my number. Do not do that. And he comes back and tells me this story, and I'm like, well, that's fine then. He's like, no, here's her number, message her. And I was like, no, man, I can't do that. He goes, trust me, just say hello. And my sister lives in India, and my sister lives, coincidentally, the next road to her. So he was like, just message her. She knows your sister, she knows her, just message her. I was like, I can't do that. But anyway, so eventually I messaged her, and I just said, hey, our mutual friend gave me your number. He said, and I just said hi. And she
doesn't sound awkward at all.
No, she didn't reply for like 2 days, which was expected. Yeah. But eventually she actually replied saying, hey, thanks for the message. Yeah, he did tell me, how you doing, how's things? And we started talking, and we started messaging. And there was a click, and a lot of people ask me, what is love, what is relationships? And I say, it's a click. It's either there or it isn't. And that click suddenly between us was there. We were talking about our likes, our hobbies, what we do, what we enjoy. She was telling me all about her sort of makeup, how she likes cooking, how she likes feeding people. I like eating. I was like, this is a match made in heaven. Everything was going really well. We were like messaging, and then we started video calling. And I remember I used to video call her and hold the phone from the right-hand side of my face and cover the left, because I hadn't learned to accept who I was. Even if you go on my social media profile and look at pictures of me before this journey, all my pictures are from the right-hand side of my face, because I hadn't accepted who I was. And she said to me one day, Amit, if I marry you, I'm not going to marry half of your face. I'm going to marry all of you. I know what you're doing, so stop showing me half of your face and just hold the phone properly. And that was the first time, even though she knew my condition, that was the first time I've held the phone properly. That's the first time ever, it was after like a few weeks of talking, that we ever even spoke about my condition. That's how non-existent it was for her. And she was like, when you start talking to somebody, Amit, as you start talking to them, the looks and everything start to fade away, and it's the personality that starts to matter. You're that guy who lives in England, who likes cricket, whose father was his rock. That's who you are to me, not someone who has a visible difference. And at that point, I knew two things. One, that she's the one for me, she's perfect. And 2, that I need to learn to accept who I am. And that was a beautiful journey for me to start this journey of advocacy, because we live in this world now where we're constantly seeking validation from others, especially on social media. Like I go to a college and I'll start my talk by saying, how many of you here have a social media account? And a lot of people put their hands up, and I'm like, how many of you post a picture of yourself, like a selfie on there? And again, people laugh and they'll put their hand up, they'll smile, they'll giggle. And I go, here's the question though. How many of you go back after half an hour to check how many likes you've got? And then they all laugh, and they all know, no one puts their hand up, but they know they all do that. They're all going back to see how many likes they've got. They're comparing it to their friends' likes. We're constantly seeking validation externally. We're constantly looking to be liked by others. I was doing the same thing when I was, I used to put pictures like this, covering half of my face and like angling it, putting a wine glass in front of my face, looking at how many likes I get. Then I came to the realization, actually, all it takes is to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're good enough. And people say, oh, that's easier said than done. You might be saying, oh yeah, you're just saying that. It is easier said than done. It takes time, it takes persistence, it takes consistency. You have to keep reassuring yourself that you are good enough, you have got what it takes. Like, had I not said those things to myself, I would not be sitting here in front of you today doing this podcast. I categorically believe that I can go and inspire the world now with my story, because I've learned to accept who I am, and it's taken time to do that.
So in terms of acceptance, I think this is a really important for anyone, is what's the key? What would you say the key for you is for acceptance? Like, what is the one thing that you say, you know what, to really accept myself, I had to what? Like, what is it?
To really accept yourself, you have to believe in yourself. It comes with belief. Because beliefs lead to actions, actions lead to results. If you believe in who you are, if you believe in your actions, you believe in your goals, then everything else starts to fall into place. Accepting yourself is a journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to go on this journey of self-discovery. Like 24 months ago, I wanted to be a very different person to who I want to be today. But that came through self-discovery. And Simon Sinek talks about the why. And I think a part of acceptance is the why as well. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I where I am right now? When you figure out what the why is, everything else starts to fall into place.
And one of the reasons why Simon Sinek does that is because it helps you realize that your purpose is bigger than you.
Yes.
And once you realize that your purpose is bigger than you, then you've just taken the limiting factor off you, and you've built your wings and you're off to ready to fly.
Yeah. Really, which is why I've quit my job.
Which is why you quit your job. But we're also not advocating everyone quit the job.
No.
However, do it.
But if your purpose is big enough,
yes,
and you believe in yourself, but you've got to be absolutely categorically clear. Like, you've got to be, without a shadow of a doubt, you've got to be like, this is what I want to do. And again, it's about looking in the mirror and talking to yourself, that self-discovery, that is this absolutely what I want to do? Like, a lot of people, I'll give you an example, a lot of people in my family, when I started this journey, even before I even thought about leaving my job, like, oh, so are you going to get paid from all this? Are you going to make any money? It's not about that. Yeah. Absolutely not about that. It's about the value that you can create. It's about the impact you can create. If you can create the impact, if you can create the value, the money, the income will follow.
More than it ever did before.
Yeah, well. More than it ever did before. But I truly believe that.
And that's the huge thing there is, and there's this mindset, and I've really struggled with this, that we're a not-for-profit organisation, all this kind of stuff, and people say, oh, it should be free, it should be this. Doing good in the Western world is considered, actually in the world in its entirety, is free. Charity is free, everything should be free. If you do good, you should be getting paid double, because you're doing that impact to create more impact.
Yeah.
And it's this been mindset change for me is like just really not having the guilt of, actually, I've left a paid job to do this.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really difficult.
That's been difficult for me. It's been a difficult journey for me, because a lot of people ask me to come and talk or do a workshop, and my instinct would be to just go and do it because it's going to create that impact. But you've got to think about your time, you've got to think about the value, you've got to think about bringing food on the table at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's so important. I remember when I quit my job back in 2019, I practiced Nichiren Buddhism, and in Buddhism there's 3 things in Nichiren Buddhism that Mr. Makiguchi, one of the incredible authors, said, and philosophers. He said, beauty, gain, and good. So he talks about that in every job there's beauty, gain, and good. So beauty is, do you enjoy it? Good is, are you supporting others? And gain is, what are you getting out of it? Are you learning lots, or are you earning a bunch of money? When I was in my job in 2019, I hated it. I had no beauty. I wasn't earning enough money, so I was at the same amount of money at the end of the month than I did at the beginning. And good, I was impacting no lives. So I had none of the 3. So as soon as I quit that and started Tales to Inspire, I had 2. I had the beauty, I love what I was doing, and I had the good, I was impacting people's lives. Didn't have the gain, I'm still working on that. However, I'm gaining so much out of the people we connect with, learning and developing. And it's just realising, once again, your purpose and why you do what you do.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really, really special. So, marriage.
Yes.
So you're speaking to this lady, and you're having this chat. She's in India, you're here. What goes on?
So we're talking for a while. We decide that, yep, we are right for each other. But then her family say no.
Her family say no?
Family say no. She knew that her family won't agree to it for various reasons. 1, because of the distance. 2, because of, there's a saying in the Haitian community, what will people say? You know, they say "Log kya kahenge," which is what will people say, and that was bigger for her family than what her happiness was, and it was a categoric no. Her dad even said he would rather commit suicide than let her marry me, and apparently he fell to her feet and said, "Don't do this," and his reasoning was just, what will people say, and he's got this condition. You know, why are you doing this? And she fought and fought and fought and said that this is the right thing for me, because I don't want this person to feel rejected because of the way he looks. Again, he's gone through that before, and she thought this time if he gets rejected, it would probably break him. And it probably would have. I would have probably lost all hope on finding love and marriage. And it got to a point where her family said, well, you do what you want to do. And my sister was living in India at that time. She went to her house to speak to her family and say, let's work on this. And they said, well, if you want this to work, if she wants this to work, you guys carry on. We don't want to be a part of this. Her mother didn't come to the wedding. The day before the wedding, bearing in mind I'd just gone from England to get married, one of her aunties said to her, you must have sinned really badly in your life to be now presented with this human being that you're marrying. And she said, think about it carefully. There's still time. Bearing in mind the wedding was the following day. Like, there's still time. Don't do this. Don't do this to your parents. Don't do this to yourself. And then she comes to England, and we go to holiday in Barcelona, and we're having all these great time, and we're posting all these pictures, and who's liking those pictures? Those same people that were telling her not to marry me. Which is, yeah, exactly. So it was an incredibly emotional roller coaster for both of us at that time.
Did you know what that was going on at that time?
I didn't know at that time.
Right, okay.
No, at the time I did not know. I knew that her family were really against it, and they'd said no, and that they didn't want this to happen. And my sister went there and she spoke to them, and they said, you guys carry on, we're not going to come to the wedding. But I didn't know the extent to all her other external family members coming in and saying, don't do this, you must have sinned, you're a sinner, this is karma, all of this. I had no idea about all of this.
Mate, wow. And you go to Barcelona at the best time ever.
Yeah.
And so then what happened? I mean, how long ago is this?
So we got married in December 2021.
All right, okay.
December 2021. So all this was happening in the lead up of the wedding. I stayed in India for about 6 months after the wedding. And it took about 2 months before her family invited me and her to go back. I mean, in the culture, normally, you know, you go back and you have all this other ceremonies and rituals. We didn't have any of that. 2 months after when we went back, then her mum started being a bit open with me, talking to me. And her reasoning was, look, her and her brother, her mother and her brother sat down and had a chat with me and said, it wasn't completely about you. Don't get us wrong. It was about the community. The people would say, you've given your daughter away to this person because he lives in England. He's got supposedly got money, and she's going to have a better life because of this, and they've sacrificed this condition. But also, we didn't want her to ever change her mind, her to ever regret her decision, her to marry you, go to England and feel like, oh no, I've made the wrong decision. So we wanted to be categorically clear that she's also making the right decision. But after seeing how you two have been in the last 2 or 3 months after the wedding and everything, how it's going, we wish you both well, and look after my daughter. And we kind of reconciled and things were better.
Okay, so are you, as a family, as two different families, kind of
as two different families, we are back together. We've reconciled. My mum went to India recently. When we got married, my mum and her mum hadn't even met, but my mum went back to India last year, and they went to her house, and they all got on, and everything's as it should be.
Amit, from an honest point of view, how did you feel, or how do you feel now, looking back at that, about how her mum felt and about how her dad wanted to commit suicide and all these things that you said? Like, how does it actually make you feel?
I feel terrible about how everything went. But when you sit down and you really, really think about it, it's bigger than them just my wife's mum and dad. It's bigger than that. It's why is this happening? What's the cultural shift that these things still happen, that people are so non-accepting? People think that, this person's untouchable just because they've got this condition. And it just makes me think, how can we create that change? How can we help people understand? And it goes to so many avenues here. Media representation. How does Bollywood represent people with visible differences? Why isn't there a character in a Bollywood film who has a visible difference, who is just a character in the film, and that visible difference is just a part of them? Or why isn't that more of that not happening? Because if more of that starts happening, then people suddenly start awakening to all of this a bit more and accepting it. So that's, when it comes to visible differences and disability, I think in the inclusion ladder, we come quite late. You've got other things that are coming before. Rightly so, they should, but I think everything should be there, not just one or the other.
It's just this thing that I've struggled with, and something that we started at Tales to Inspire is we're trying to create positive individual change, but we're also trying to change the systems in which we live, which includes the cultures. And cultural change, we went to India over Christmas and it was amazing. But one of the things that I started to see was people would say how amazing, how humble, we look after the world, we care about the world, but then they would treat the workers really badly.
Yeah.
Or they would say something about Muslims. And I'd be like, you just said that you are just really this humble person and you really care about the world, but then you've gone completely against the own morals that you believe because you built an exception in that rule.
Yeah.
So what's the reason I'm like you? It's bigger than that individual. There's something systemic about this. There's something huge about this. And it's great that you're saying, let's go and change it. Yeah. Let's go and do something. So how do we do that? Like, how do we go about it? This is something deep, mate.
It is. Another thing that triggered this thought, and another story I'm going to tell you, is just after we got married, I had to get my wife's passport verified. So we went to the police station where you verify it, you take the passport that's just been issued, some other documents, and the receptionist was sitting on the desk and she took the documents, looked at me, and she handed it back and said, "It's not right." And I said, "Well, what's not right?" And she didn't tell me. She just said, "It's not right." So I went to the side looking frantically about what's not right. Thankfully, this gentleman helped me and said, "All you got to do is photocopy a document and bring it back. So just go across the road, there's a shop there, go photocopy it." So I went across, went to photocopy it, came back. When I came back, this receptionist got up and said, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit ill, I'm feeling a bit sick. I'm gonna go." And she made a strange gesture, got up and walked off. Someone else came and sat in her place, looked at my documents, said everything's fine, carry on. So me and my wife were walking away. And I asked my wife, "A bit strange, what happened?" She goes, "When you went away, she asked me who you were." So she said, "Who is this person?" And I said, "Oh, this is my husband." And her response was, "You married that? Not you married him or this person." She said, "You married that? Why? How could you?" And that is the problem, that people aren't accepting of people with a disability. It's almost like they don't even see them as a human being. People with disabilities have their favorite Netflix series, they have their favorite football team, cricketer, whatever. They have a personality about them. They have something about them. So treat them as human beings, celebrate being human, celebrate being different. And how to change that? That's a profound question, but it starts off with having the conversations. It's going to the grassroots, it's going to the schools, it's going to the colleges, it's going to the universities and sharing the story with them and saying that story in a mass audience. I think that's where that change will come from.
Because when you do that, what you do is you build understanding. And from building that understanding, you build empathy.
Yeah.
And we live in a world full of sympathy where people feel sorry for others.
Yeah.
That does no good.
No.
Empathy, you now understand. I mean, if you go in front of a class of 10 people or 100 people and you share your truths, your honesty and your feelings, you've instantly built understanding.
Yeah.
Those individuals who've experienced that then, they're not going to do the same thing because it's going to give them a light bulb and it's going to make them think twice.
Yeah.
And that is it. You're building empathy by building a bridge between yourself and
You're
the other
absolutely
person.
right. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me because I'm good enough. Yeah. I've got what it takes. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Support me, be empathetic of my story, but let's go on this journey together and let's go and change India. Let's go and change the world.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
And people say, and you started like this, one person at a time, right? But it's amazing what the power of one can do, right? The power of zero goes nowhere, but the power of one has the opportunity to go to 100,000 TikTok followers or to go to whoever that goes to. And I think that's really, really special.
It is.
Really special. So where do we find yourself? We got from the marriage, and how is married life? Tell me a bit.
Married life's great. We're absolutely loving it. It's in the honeymoon phase still. We've just moved out to our own house, our own space.
Where were you living before that?
So living with a family before,
Okay.
living with our own space. One of the things I talk about a lot when I go to charities and medical organizations about the family and about family planning. So my condition, now that, one of the reasons her family was saying no as well, was like, how will his children be? Will his children have the same condition? So there's a 50% chance that my child will have the same condition as me. But what the severity of that will be, no one knows. It could be a minute spot. So I've got a lot of spots on my hand, which are the tumors. So someone could have this spot on their hand, and that could be it, and they've got neurofibromatosis. Or someone could have something like me, or someone could have it in the entire face. So me and my wife are on this journey of where we're trying to discuss how we try and mitigate that risk. Now, what do we do? Do we seek medical help? Do we leave it to God? And it's a big question. It's a big, deep question that, we don't know the answer to. And that's one of the issues that her family had, to an extent my family have. It's like, what are you going to do? Answer is, I don't know yet. But that's, in terms of where we are in our relationship, we're trying to work out our next family planning. Where do we go? How do we do this?
So are you telling me that you have the conversations and you both sit down and have that talk about?
We do.
With all options kind of open? We
do, yeah. We've got the all options of it open in front of us at the moment. You can go down the medical route of IVF, and they can mitigate that risk and remove any I don't know the medical term, DNAs, but DNAs or anything that is got my condition. They can remove that. Or do I just go down the natural route? We don't know. And that's a big discussion that we're having at the moment, because it brings in religion, it brings in morals, it brings in so many different things that we need to consider than just saying, let's go do it.
You've talked about faith. I don't often, with Tales of Life, we don't usually go into faith and into people's religions, but how important is that to you?
So by religion, I'm a Hindu.
Okay.
Belief is very important for me. Energy is very important for me. Positive energy, positive reinforcement, positive thoughts, positive comments. Hindus do a lot of kirtan where they play these instruments, they play and they create positive sound in the house. I really like creating positive sound in the house all the time. Like I play kirtan or I chant Hare Krishna in the house to give that house that positive energy. So I'm a big believer of energy, and I think for me, when someone asks me what religion or faith or belief is for me, I say it's attracting that positive energy from wherever you can. And by doing things like we're doing today, it's bringing positive energy into the universe.
Absolutely. Is there anything on a daily basis that you do? Is it that?
I pray, I meditate.
Okay.
I meditate every day. So my routine is after my shower to go into, we've got a temple room in the house. We'll go in there and I'll sit for 15, 20 minutes and just be calm, be peaceful and just pray to the universe and say, work it out for me. Bring the right components together to make my vision come true if it's purposeful.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense. And I've got a question that I've not asked very often, but I remember one of our ambassadors, Jamie Rudd, he was in a car crash. When he was in his car crash, he had this, actually two of our ambassadors, Aaron Baker also said this, he broke his neck whilst on a motorbike accident, and he transformed his life so much that he looked back at that moment and said he was grateful for that moment for who he became to this day. How do you, when you look back at your life, are you grateful for how you are?
I've said this a lot to others. Sometimes people say, don't let your condition define you. I let it define me. It makes me who I am. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the universe that it's given me this platform and this opportunity to go and help people, because with my condition, the universe has given me the strength to face it and be open with it. And now being open with it and sharing it with the world is helping those who are a little bit less fortunate, who haven't yet accepted who they are, haven't come to terms with their conditions. I mean, I've recently started posting on YouTube, and the amount of comments I get on videos of people saying, Amit, I couldn't do what you're doing, but the fact that you've done it has given me hope that I can at least do something in my life. And that's currency for me. That's what's motivating me to keep going.
Amazing. So, Amit, thank you so much. We've not finished yet because we're going to be going into a quick fire question round.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I never tell any of our ambassadors about this, but essentially, I'm going to start a sentence, you're going to finish it.
Oh, wow, okay.
And you don't have to explain anything about it because we're going to go on to the next one straight away.
Okay.
Does that sound all right?
Sounds all right, yeah.
Right, let's do this. So, where are we going to begin? Childhood is?
Freedom.
Disabilities can?
Be a platform.
I love that. Family environments are?
Comfort.
True community?
Complicated.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. That is so good. You've got me properly with that one. That is great. It is complicated, right? But it is so true. And now I'm going against my own rules about not being quick fire. Okay, how much of where you're at right now is due to luck? How much of it is due to hard work?
Combination. I think it's to do with energy.
Okay. If there was one government law and it was a rule that was your law, that Amit Ghose law, what would it be?
Oh, God. Equality, like giving everyone that same platform of letting them do what they want to do and achieve what they want to achieve.
Amazing. If you were to look back at your 19-year-old self, what one piece of advice would you give?
You've got this. Don't worry.
I love it. Oh, amazing. You're amazing there, mate. Unbelievable. So, Amit, we're going to get to our final two questions. So our final two questions that we ask every Tales to Inspire ambassador. So it's over 150 people we've asked these same two questions to now. So, Amit Ghose, what is your definition of the word inspire?
To move and impact people in a way that gets them to take action to better their lives and the ones around them as well.
I love that. Move, action, and better. In any sentence that you have those three words, I am buzzing. So I absolutely love that.
I'll have to listen to it and write that comment down so I remember it.
Yeah, you
That's quite good. Put that in my book.
I love it. I love it. And let's go to the very last question that we ask every one of our ambassadors. And that's, I mean, if you live your best life and you get to the ripe old age of 93, let's say, and you're looking back on your life, what's the biggest impact you want to have achieved during your lifetime?
The biggest impact, it's to help, support and inspire people be the best version of themselves, to give them that belief that they can go on to do what they want to do, the goals they want to achieve, and that they have no limitations.
Amazing. And as long as you remember that you won't be far off the purpose that you're always going to keep for yourself.
Thank you.
Mate, Amit Ghose, thank you so much for being
so
on the
much.
Tales to
It's
Inspire
been a
podcast.
pleasure.
Amazing. What a legend. Thank you for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, and we cannot wait to see you for our next episode.